Hey folks, it's time for a video about audio, something we haven't done in a while, and today we're going to be talking about the bedroom stereo. Now, this is what I've been using basically since I got this dresser. I set the whole thing up. It's this little Radio Shack set of components. These three are branded Optimus and those two are branded RCA, but they're all Radio Shack. So, this has been a very nice setup for me. But the one problem is I'd like to have a record player in here, but I can't fit it on this dresser. So my only real option has been to replace the stereo, and that's what we're going to do today. And the options for all-in-one stereos today they're getting better. At one time you used to be stuck with a bunch of suitcase record players and really cheap imitation old style stereos that were just had all this silver plastic on them and stuff. You can still buy some of that now, but I think it's far less of a problem than it used to be. Those of you that know me know that I like fairly nice things audio-wise, good turntables, good receivers, good speakers, all that kind of stuff. But if all you want is a bedroom stereo, you don't need all that. You don't need a super souped up nice system. And I learned that from all the various audio setups I had back when I lived at my parents' old house. You guys remember the videos? I would have an audio setup for everything: the bathroom, the bedroom, the nightstand, the mirror. It was a bit ridiculous, but I was bored back then. What else could I do? So what we're going to do here is replace this system with an all-in-one system. I went looking around online to see what I could find. There are a lot of videos by Westlife, I've noticed, about older styled all-in-one stereo systems, including one that had 1975 in the model number. It was a Crosley product. There's a TIAC one that he took a look at that I was actually considering for the spot until I looked at the Amazon reviews and saw that the quality control on those is pretty marginal. So I felt like spending $300 and something for something that might be okay really wasn't worth it. So I started looking in the cheaper price range, around $100 to $200. You really have to spend that much to get anything decent. So that's what I did. Without further ado, let's take a look. This is the Crosley Otto. They have finally ventured back into the 1960s for styling. Look at that. Mid-century modern styling. They even boast about it a lot. So there you go. It's basically a 60s style receiver that has a built-in Bluetooth receiver in it. And as you can tell by that tone arm there, this appears to have the same mechanism that the Crosley Collegiate has, which is one of the few Crosley products that's actually good. This one I saw have the same mechanism, and I thought, okay, we're a go here. This might actually be nice. I was also looking at the Crosley Switch 2, which uses the same case, but it isn't quite the same. The amplifier is different. It even has the grill on the front, but they didn't put a speaker in it. It's very, very weird. But on the Otto, it's all one self-contained unit with a mono speaker in the front. And the stereo systems like this, when you want to integrate them so well, they don't necessarily need to be stereo. They just need to sound good. So I think without further ado, we should take a look at this particular stereo and see if I picked the right one. It looks good. The only information I found about it online was Crosley's own promotional video on YouTube and a video somebody posted on Amazon on one of these playing a record. So I think this deserves a better look. It's a very nice looking stereo, and it's nice and compact, and it's perfect for a small dresser like this where I could not fit a record player on here without picking an all-in-one system. And I wasn't going to go vintage because I didn't feel like restoring something. So I went new, and this is the best option I could find for the price. The two prices I saw on these when I was looking was $122 and $160. You can buy these at Target as well. I know that. When I was looking around, I saw you could buy them at Target. So in case you want to get it in a store, that's a place that you can buy it. So comes pretty well packaged, as you can see, so let me get it out of its box here and we can take a look at it. And here we have the stereo system. I took everything out of the box. It comes with a slip mat, which is nice. I'm definitely going to be using that. It comes with an aux cable, so you can plug it into the aux jack in the front there. 45 adapter, the instruction manual, of course, and it looks like a warranty card. Yep, big warranty card. So that's pretty much all it comes with. Oh, yeah, also comes with the AC adapter, which is fairly heavy. So 32 watt DC 12 volt 1500 milliamps. So this is a pretty heavy feeling switching power supply, so that should be nice. So here is the front of the machine itself. The front here is a plastic, but that's fine. It still looks nice. You can see that mid-century modern styling on it, which looks very looks early to mid-60s to me. On the front you have the speaker, of course. You have your FM and AM bands with a manual tuner. Your on and off and volume knob there. You can choose between 33 and 45 speed for the turntable. You have your tune knob here, which is for the radio, of course. It just moves it up and down the band. And you have your function selector switch. You have Bluetooth, auxiliary, phono, FM, and AM. That's a pretty good feeling selector switch, actually. Volume knob feels good. The speed selector feels a little scratchy. Of course, down here you have your headphone jack and your aux jack. So, perfect. And of course, on top we have the turntable. This appears to be a similar mechanism that's in the Crosley Collegiate, even down to the same platter, which is a plastic platter, unfortunately. There is a pitch control, so if this thing is slightly too fast, you can just turn it down or up a little bit. See how the slip mat looks on it. That looks good. I like that. It even has a raising and lowering of the tone arm. I don't know if this is auto stop or anything like that yet. We'll have to see when we plug it in and test it. I have to dismantle this stereo first. So I say we get started and we put this stereo where it belongs. It appears to be big enough that it will just fit on here. I plan to keep using this Optimus cassette deck with this particular stereo, so I'm just going to use that for the aux jack. So, there you go. One of the things that drew me to this particular stereo was the fact that it actually has a dust cover. I've seen a couple turntables that Crosley sells that come with speakers that don't show a dust cover in any of the pictures. And that's just not right. Like every turntable should have a dust cover, or it's just going to be a nasty turntable and get really dusty. So that's one thing that drew me to this. Anyway, I'm going to dismantle the other stereo and I'm going to put this one up onto my dresser. One thing I should mention is that the FM antenna is permanently attached to wires, so I'm sure you probably solder something to the end of that if you really wanted to, but you just have to stretch it out. I'm just going to stretch it out behind the dresser over there and call it good. So let's install this thing. This is Crosley model CR6033A-GY, in case you were wondering as well. So look at those hinges. Those are nice. Cool. Looks like you can take the back panel off as well with some screws there. Anyway, enough oogling this thing. Let's test it out. Look at that. It just fits on this dresser. If you look at the side there, it just fits. So this is perfect. Stop disturbing me. So this is how I have it set up. I have the all-in-one system slightly to the right, and I have my Optimus SCT86 cassette deck right next to it, which hooks into an adapter here that hooks into the aux cable that came with the particular with this all-in-one system. So we're going to plug that in there and we're going to see how that works in a little bit. I still need to set up the turntable though. This thing opens very far. Stops just before the wall, actually. That's kind of nice. There is no holder for the 45 adapter, I've noticed. There's no like spindle or anything like that, so you're just going to have to stick it over here or over here and hope that you don't lose it. But as long as this thing stays stationary, it shouldn't be a big deal. This isn't a suitcase player or anything like that. So, first thing you should probably do, you don't need to use the slip mat if you don't want to, if you like the way this looks. It does have these rubber things here. However, I would use the slip mat over that. So, of course, now we need to set up the turntable. And good news is this is how you're supposed to ship a turntable. You twisty the tone arm down and put the clip down. This tone arm does appear to be the same as what's in the Collegiate. It has a counterweight in the back of it here, which is pretty cool. I think there's a way to adjust that with a screwdriver. Pull the tape off the front of the. Wow, the stylus just fell right out. So in case that happens with Audio-Technica styli, all you have to do is take it out of its clip there and push it back in from the bottom. It's almost like this just wasn't inserted all the way at the factory. Is this stylus shot already? Like, what's the deal here, dude? It's almost like the wrong stylus is on here. That's not a good sign. The stylus just kind of hangs there. Yeah, that stylus is not secure in the slightest. So this is a quality problem. I don't know if I have another AT3600 stylus for this thing. It might stay enough for me to make a video about it. I'm probably going to get another stylus for this, though. That's pretty bad when it can just pull out so easily like that. I wonder how that's going to affect sound quality. Either way, because of an Audio-Technica cartridge. Jeez. That's pretty bad. I don't know if that's a bad stylus. Probably is. Either a bad stylus or a bad cartridge. Anyway, let's take a look at the stylus. Stylus appears to be okay. It's just not attaching correctly for whatever reason. That's really weird. Well, I'm going to use it for the sake of this demonstration and then probably get rid of it because that stylus is not staying secure. So if you get this and your stylus doesn't stay secure, I will address that later on where to get a replacement stylus because you'll want replacement styli for this thing anyway. So yeah, that's not a very good sign of quality there. And I don't think that's Crosley's fault. I think that's Audio-Technica's fault because their logo's on the front of that stylus. Anyway, let's give this thing a whirl, shall we? Let's start with AM radio.
Coming up with all-day traffic watch.
There you go. There's an AM station that's not great reception.
According to the Delaware Attorney General's office, Thomas Watson pled guilty over the summer in connection with the crimes last winter and was recently sentenced. Rain will be heavy before ending this evening. Sunshine returns.
First started. When I first started, do you remember the story? Yeah, and people were complaining because they charged the $30, they charged all the money, and what?
Fox Sports trending.
There's your sports radio.
Sean Payton made this announcement moments ago. Bridgewater will start at quarterback.
So as you can hear, the AM quality is not great. Now, AM radio can sound good. It's just that this particular AM radio doesn't. You can barely. A lot of the high end is barely intelligible. You can't hear anything. And you may have noticed as I was turning the tuning dial that there was a stutter whenever you advance and reverse on the dial. And that is the sound of a DSP. This uses a DSP for tuning, as opposed to, you know, like a tuning capacitor and all that analog circuitry. This one's more digital. So, of course, with a digital signal, it's either there or it isn't. So you're going to get that stuttering effect. FM, I think, is going to be fine.
It's the children out playing in the rock garden all around.
Otto responds, "We do not want to be rash." Tensions are escalating as the U.S. enters its 7th day dealing with a partial government shutdown.
He's going to be there. It's just whether or not he gets cleared or the Eagles want to clear him.
Delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 1/2/19. See dealer for qualifications and complete details. Don't miss the final days of the Build for the Holidays sales event at your local Ford store.
Marcetta and Trey in the morning. Gargano and Martinez middays. Missanelli afternoons.
This is the sports voice of the new Philadelphia.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Well, there you go. That's the FM radio. I think that says enough about the sound quality. The sound quality is pretty good. There's some decent high end. There's some decent bass. There's a reason they didn't put a tone control in here, because they basically attuned it so that it's pretty good. It's a nice full range sound. Obviously, you're not going to get what you would get out of subs and like planar speakers and things like that, but it's very, very good. The sound is very, very good out of this thing for the price you pay.
Great Hembo and his 5 statistics.
I'm very impressed by that. So the FM radio in this is very good as far as quality is concerned. Reception, well, I'm not the best judge of reception because I live in an apartment that's in an area where reception isn't that great anyway. So let's do phono. I'm going to get a record I don't care about, and we'll see how this thing works. Okay, here's a particularly bad pressing of the Genesis album Trespass. The ABC Records version of this sounds horrible. So that's what we're going to use. So this thing can play 45s and 33s. So we're going to stick a 33 on here and see how that plays with that stylus being so damn loose like that. That's really a problem. I don't know what Audio Technica was thinking. Maybe that was just a dud. Whoa. Thing jumps up a little bit. Squeaks a little bit when you first start it, so let's give this a shot and see how it plays.
Looking for someone. I guess I'm doing that. Trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Let's try another song. Well, it plays just fine. Let's see if it auto stops. It does have auto stop, so that's nice. So you can just take it and bring it back to the spindle and clip it down. So this thing has a pretty good record player in it. I don't think this record was the best example. Clearly the FM radio had a little bit more oomph to it. So I'm going to grab another record. I'm going to grab a 45 this time, and we'll see if this has that same problem the collegiate record player does where it stops too soon. So let me get one of those. Move that to 45. Let's give a 45 a try. Oh, that's much better sound. Okay, that's much better sound. Now let's see if it auto stops correctly. So let me move that to yeah, the auto stop actually stops at the right spot. So this doesn't have the problem that original revision of the Crosley Collegiate did. They did fix it on this as well. So that's good. On 45s it stops at the right time. So that'll make 48 chairs happy, I guess. Yeah, there you have it. That is the record playback. But we have more stuff to test, don't we? We have the aux jack, right? So let's do that. I'm going to attempt to put the stylus protector back on this thing and watch it just fall out. Well, I did an okay job. There we go. Alright, let me go get a cassette and we will test this thing out. Alright, so let's switch this to the aux jack and test that out. I'm going to be using it with a cassette. This cassette, in fact, this is actually a really good, I guess, vaporwave, future funkish album. Vino's Intermission. Has one particular great song on it called Time. So, we shall be listening to that particular tune. Alright, so the aux jack works great. So you can use that to plug anything in, a computer, a phone. Well, maybe not phones these days since they're eliminating the headphone jack so much. But any analog source really you can plug in there as long as it's line level. And speaking of headphone jacks going away on phones, there's a Bluetooth option. We should test that as well. Okay, and so to make this device discoverable, you just flip it to Bluetooth. And it'll go do-do-do-do when it's ready to pair, so sign into here, go into my settings on my phone, go into Bluetooth, pair new device, and it shows up as Crosley CR6033, so it should just pair to that. There you go. Whoop, comes from the speakers. So now we can go to something like the YouTube app. And destroy record needle. Let me find a video real quick. Okay, I've pulled up a V Westlight video. Let's check it out.
Suddenly, it's 1975 again. Or at least Crosley would like you to think so, because this is their new 1975T stereo system, featuring chrome and wood grain styling that was popular in the 1970s. Includes a built-in 2-speed 33.
So there you go. Bluetooth works great on this thing. Sounds pretty good. Obviously, Bluetooth isn't going to sound perfect because it's not. It uses some sort of compression, I think. But yeah, you can listen to music from your phone, you can load videos from your phone, you can do all sorts of stuff like that. So, overall, I really like this thing. It is exactly what I was looking for. The only really glaring flaw that I could find is this stylus being really loose. If you go on eBay and you search AT3600 stylus, you'll get listings like this. You'll get the original AT one, and you'll get stuff like the generic ones, which is probably what I would go with. I think these are fan steel needles from Needle Daddy. So this would fit, but if you wanted to upgrade, you can also get an elliptical stylus for this thing. There you go, there's your elliptical stylus, which is a green one. So you could upgrade and get one of these as well, or you could just spend $12 to get that one. Okay, so that stylus literally just wasn't all the way on. This little lip here in the tone arm is what's getting in the way. So I had to sort of push forward a little bit and push up really, really firmly to get it to snap into place. So now I can move this by the stylus and it doesn't fall out. So this is it's still working. So this stylus is actually good. It's just a little difficult to get it all the way on, and I guess whoever was in the factory didn't push that all the way up, because that plastic isn't the best design for that stylus to stay there. But I'd managed to get it to stay, so what I'm going to end up doing is probably just buying an elliptical stylus for this thing so it's nicer to my records and calling it a day. So now that I've solved that stylus problem, it just wasn't really pushed up all the way, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to get it up there. I had to really push on that, and I suggest putting the stylus protector on when doing that so you don't completely damage the cantilever on there. So now that that's fixed, I think we can take a better look at the actual turntable mechanism. Now this turntable mechanism appears to be the same or very similar to one that's used in the Crosley Collegiate, which is another really decent record player that they make, that Crosley makes. So I think what we need to do is run this thing through the motions. So let me get that record back out again. And okay, let's put the record back on there. This record I don't really care about. It's a particularly nasty pressing of this Genesis album. Really, really badly pressed, so I don't have to care about this one. But we can at least run through the turntable motions with this. I'm not going to play the music, but this is all more about the mechanism. So you can do it the whole thing manually. When you start it, it squeaks a lot. So there's still signs of Crosley cheapness in there, I guess. So there you go. It has a lever to help raise the tone arm as well, which you should be gentle with so that you don't send the thing flying up. In fact, I'll demonstrate what that looks like next time I do this. It is damped when you move it down, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you push this thing up quickly, oh, actually it's held pretty well. So that's not bad. Cool. We know this thing auto stops. We know the tone arm is damped when you lower it, at least. So that's good. And we know that you can get the stylus all the way on if it's falling off like mine was. You just have to really push it in there. And we know you can get replacement styli for these, including an upgrade to an elliptical stylus, which I will be ordering because it's nicer to your records and there's less sibilance as well. The only thing we really haven't tried out is the pitch control, I guess. So let's put the record back on and give that a shot. So it has a notch in the middle to tell you where it's supposed to be. The speed seems pretty dead on this model. Maybe a little fast, but not so much that it's a big deal. At least to me in particular. So I like this record player a lot, actually. At least the mechanism in this thing. I just wish that the stylus was easier to push all the way in, because it came from the factory, not pushed all the way in, which could just be from shipping or something. I don't know, but I managed to get it all the way back in, so no harm, no foul. Overall, I really like this stereo. The turntable mechanism that it uses is just as good as the one in the Crosley Collegiate, which is a good mechanism with a good cartridge, a magnetic cartridge instead of a ceramic one. The tone arm damps when it goes down, and when you push the lever to go up, it doesn't jump over to the left like some cheaper ones do. The pitch control is very nice. In case the pitch is off, you don't have to open this thing up to adjust the motor with a jeweler's screwdriver or anything like that. The selection of functions here is good. AM is a bit, just to recap, AM is not great. FM is really good, actually. I was testing this a little bit more off camera, and it gets better reception than my Radio Shack components did, the Optimus stuff. This gets better reception than that does, which is crazy. I'm going to guess that has something to do with the DSP type of tuning. So there is an advantage to it, I suppose. We went over the phono function. The record player is good. Definitely use it. You can upgrade and change the stylus pretty easily. It's a good magnetic cartridge. All that fun stuff. 2 speeds, 33 and 45. Auxiliary is good. That ended up working out famously with this little Optimus SCT86. And Bluetooth is also very good. The Bluetooth I'm a big fan of on this, because that means that, you know, if you have a friend over, they can just pair their phone with this thing without having to enter a password or anything. And you can just listen to music or watch videos or whatever. And it also means with the aux jack that you can just plug a computer into it. So that's pretty cool. The speaker in the front is excellent. You get very good sound out of it. Despite this being mono, it sounds great. You get really good sound out of it, especially for the price, $122 to $160. So it's really, I'm very pleased with this setup. This is going to be a very good bedroom setup for many, many years, assuming it lasts that long. I really hope it does. Okay, so what are my closing thoughts on this sound system? Well, overall, I think it's good. Do I recommend you buy it? Yes. If you are in the market for something that is small, compact, can play records, has decent sound, this is definitely what you want. The Bluetooth in it makes it a Bluetooth speaker, so you don't need anything extra. It's not a smart speaker, so there's no voice assistance in there whatsoever. So if you're the paranoid type and you still want a Bluetooth speaker, this is another option for you. I'm definitely one of those types. I do not like voice assistance in my house at all. But something that's Bluetooth like this is perfectly fine. The radio does have its shortcomings. I have noticed that when you tune to a station, the DSP will lock onto the station. But when you turn the system off and turn it back on, its lock on that station won't be quite correct. So you end up having to jiggle the dial a little bit to get it back to where it needs to be. So the radio is slightly temperamental. So the DSP portion of it, the DSP type tuning in it, makes it a little bit weird sometimes, but it's really not a big deal. For the price you pay, this is a really good system. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. The 0.5 I'd take away for some of the lack of grounding in the turntable tone arm. For example, if I turn this thing on and I touch the tone arm, you get some noise out of it. I think that's just not the most amazing grounding in the world. And the other part of the 0.5 I took off was because that stylus came in a way where it was falling off. So anyone who's not sort of familiar with how record players work would just think, oh, that's broken. So the minute they would get that in the mail, they would just say, oh, I got a defective product, I want to return. So Crosley, if you're watching, you need to get that under control. I think what the issue is there is just this plastic in the tone arm needs to come out slightly farther, just very slightly farther, and then it won't really have that problem. The pitch control is very nice. I'm a fan of that. The aux input is a very nice feature. I almost wish that it was RCA jacks on the back, just so I could plug something like this tape deck in without having to convert it with this cable here into the aux. The headphone jack I really like. That means you can sit in your room, let's say you're a kid and you got this for Christmas one year, you could just sit in your room, plug headphones in, and listen to records like it was 1973 or something. It's fantastic. Or if you want to go by the styling of this particular unit, like it's 1965. So sitting there and listen to your Beatles 45s. So what kind of person would want this? Someone who is looking for an all-in-one solution to a sound system that will fit in a small space. So that'd be somebody like me that has a small dresser they want to put it on. That'd be somebody like a college student, so they could stick it on their desk in their dorm room, so they could listen to records, listen to the radio, and use it as a Bluetooth speaker and whatnot. Basically, if you want to fit a record player in a small space, this is one of the better ways to do it, because it's all contained in one box. There's no separate speakers. There's nothing else to plug into this. It's just a box that you plonk down and you use, which is what attracted me to this in the first place. It really fills that niche very well. And something like the Crosley Switch 2 just adds more space because you have to plug speakers into the back and doesn't make use of the front speaker grill at all like this does. So this, I think, is a much better idea in concept. It's still going to have that sort of slightly cheap Crosley feel to it, but this is within the $100 to $200 range. We're not talking $300 stereos like that TIAC that I mentioned earlier. That's in a whole different league than this thing is in terms of craftsmanship and quality control, although maybe not so much quality control. Based on the reviews I read of that TIAC. But anyway, this is a very good sound system. I would definitely pick one up if you want a nice system to put in a room that doesn't have a whole lot of space. For me, this is a secondary system. For somebody else, it could be their main system if they don't listen to records that often. You never know. But for me, it makes an excellent bedroom stereo, and it makes an excellent secondary system for that sort of thing. So let's say I wanted to come home from work one day and stick a record on and just sort of lay back on the side of this bed over here. I could do that. It serves its purpose well, and it sounds good enough that it does the job. And that's really the objective of buying this, was to find something that was good enough. And this Crosley Otto definitely fits the bill of good enough. More than good enough for what I need. So the only thing I would add to this is 78 playback for the speed, but I imagine on a stereo like this, not too many people are going to be playing 78s. Not too many people play 78s anymore anyway, so that's what I would add to it. But I'd imagine it wouldn't get a lot of use by the demographic that would buy this thing. So that's my personal critique of the thing. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. I like it. Crosley, you did a good job. Albeit the little flaws with it. The most pertinent of which is the stylus in the cartridge not being mounted correctly from the factory. I would fix that if I were you. Anyway, that concludes this video. I think I've talked enough about this thing, and that the demonstrations have been satisfactory. I wish I could show the anti-skating, but I don't have any laser discs. So maybe later, maybe in another video I'll show that when I have a laser disc around that I can do that with. But for now, that's my conclusion of this particular item. So if you want to get a hold of me, I have social media down below in the description on Twitter and Reddit. So you can follow me on there if you want to yammer on about stuff and see what I have to say and check for updates. Twitter is where I'm the most active, so that's probably where you want to go. Reddit, I do post videos there, so if you just want a feed for videos, for now, Reddit's a good spot for that. That needs more attention. That Reddit page really needs more attention. I also have a Discord community down below if you want to yammer on in there with us. And of course, there's the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. Newcomers, subscribers, everybody. Have a good one, everybody. Ciao.